The brother of a Canadian-born former U.S. Marine being held in Moscow says he hopes his sibling will get another consular visit this week. Paul Whelan is being accused of spying and was detained late last month. He holds Canadian, British, and Irish citizenships, and his family says they've spoken to representatives from those governments over the past couple of days. Whelan's arrest has led to speculation that Russia could be using him to bargain for a Russian woman who has pleaded guilty to acting as a foreign agent in the U.S. And Global Affairs has issued a statement on Whelan's arrest and detention. It reads in part, Canada is extremely concerned by the detention of a Canadian citizen, Paul Whelan, in Russia. We are seeking consular access to Mr. Whelan, are in contact with his family, and are working with our allies on this important case. The statement went on asking Russia to reveal the charges against Whelan, adding that detention should not be used as a political tool. Joining us now is Paul Whelan's brother, David. David, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And I know you've been in touch with Global Affairs Canada. What more can you tell us about what's going on from now and in the days forward?
I think from now we're in a little bit of a holding pattern. It's a holiday in Russia. And so until tomorrow and maybe even Wednesday, there won't be anybody who will be able to get access to the jail where Paul is being held, Le Fort-de-Vaux. We know that the U.S. Embassy is coordinating between the British and the Canadian consulates so that they can all sort of not trip over each other to get access to Paul, and that the U.K. and the Canadians have asked for access to Paul. So it's all very positive. I think one of our concerns is he disappeared for 3 days when he was first detained, and then it was almost another 3 days before anybody could get access to him. So the more people who have eyes on him to take care of his well-being while he's in jail and to look after his rights, the better. And
are you getting any other information about what the detention is about, aside from all the speculation?
No, all it is speculation. The Russians haven't issued any official statement about what the charges are about, why he was detained for the Espionage Act. We're working without any details. I think when Secretary Pompeo from the United States referred to the fact that they were still not sure whether the charges were appropriate or not, and that they would bring him home if they weren't, it reflected that even at that level, there isn't any sharing of that sort of information.
You know, and tell us a little bit more about why he was in Russia in the first place. And I guess he's been there before.
Yes, I think maybe 3 or 4 times is what I've been able to figure out so far. There's been a lot of talk that he's traveled there more frequently than that, perhaps, or used the word significantly, but I'm not really sure. I know for sure that there have been 3 or 4 times. And because of that, that experience of having visited, having been to the GUM superstore, having been to the Kremlin, a friend of his who is also a former Marine, who is having a wedding in Moscow, asked if Paul would come with him and help the Americans who were coming over for the wedding to get around, essentially to help them to navigate Moscow since they'd never been there before. So that's what Paul did. He arrived on the 22nd and continued to help out until the 28th, which was the day of the wedding. And that morning he went to the Kremlin and the Armory with the rest of the wedding party and helped along with the tour. And then that evening when the wedding happened, Paul didn't show up. And that was the first inkling that there was a problem. It would be very uncharacteristic for Paul not to show up, even if that wasn't sort of the key point of the whole visit.
And he's your brother. You know him obviously well. Is there any chance, David, that he could have been involved in something that Russia didn't like?
I don't know about that. I certainly know it's not spying.
What can you tell us about the website activity? Because there was a little bit of that coming out late last week, that maybe there was some activity on social media.
Do you mean Paul's social media activity? Mm-hmm. I don't think so. I mean, I think that some of that may be a little bit Western-centric. I think Paul was on VKontakte, which is it's called the Facebook of Russia, or the Russian Facebook. But it's also a place where you go to meet people who are Russian. And so if you want to meet Russians, it's sensible for you to be on VKontakte. If he had friends that were in Russia, why wouldn't he be there? He was on Facebook as well, so that's for his American friends. I think there's an awful lot of speculation about it that might not happen if he wasn't actually sitting in a Russian jail.
And tell me kind of where you go in terms of either your level of optimism and also, and obviously, a level of concern.
A significant level of concern. I think in part because there are no details about why this happened. It's not clear why he would have been selected as the person. I think the complete arbitrariness of that is the most worrying part, and really should worry any traveler to Russia at this point. if you're able to go there and be detained now for 10 days without any charges being laid openly, that's the worrying part of all of this. I think otherwise his family, I've got 2 siblings who are helping. The 3 of us are working as a team to try and do what we can and just to get him home. I mean, that's our only goal, but so we're focusing on that work and not the worry. But that really is the worry, is that no one has any idea why Paul was selected. Yeah, and obviously you're all working together. How are you all holding up? Well, I think as well as you do. I mean, I think we're all thankful that we're not sitting in Lefortville prison like Paul is, and we want to get him home. But I think we're doing the best you can in such remarkable situations. I don't think that anybody can really be prepared for having a family member detained by a foreign government. Right. Okay. Well, David, we'll certainly keep in touch with you as well as the authorities. Thank you. Thank you, Beverly.